Ladies and gentlemen, this is the episode of the Just Believe Show. I'm your host, Herbie Mack. Today I'm honored to sit down with the lovely Cam Taylor. How are you doing?
I am well. Thanks for having me, Herbie.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out when it comes
hmm
to mental health. Being in a narcissistic abuse relationship is just something that I feel like people don't really know about, or they're not willing to share their story, their journey, and whatnot. So, what I like to start off with is, who are you?
My name is Cam Taylor. I originally was a stay-at-home mom, and through a tumultuous divorce, I went on a self-love, self-healing journey, started discovering who I was, what is my purpose, and what I had just gone through. And so with that, I did a lot of research, a lot of internal research and an internal audit of myself. And I came across what is known today as narcissism. It's such a hot word these days. But before it was streamlined, because I wasn't even on TikTok, but before it was streamlined, that's something that I was researching and in efforts to cleanse myself and to provide clarity within where I was headed, where I came from, and to learn from my past mistakes. I cultivated this guided journal, which is basically an amalgamation of all the things that I questioned within myself that would clear out a lot of things that I had muddled within me, the sense of confusion, the spirit of confusion. And I cultivated it all in one with some, and I'm a creative, so I need something that's more stimulating than it is mundane or clinical to where I didn't feel like I was in a loony house or I was judging myself from where I came from. So I made a guided journal that is also with some creative things that you could be expressive of yourself, artsy things, mental stimulation, along with spiritual stimulation. And that's what led me to where I am today. And now I'm going to use my voice and my story to be an advocate for people that can recover from these types of personality disorders or dealing with these types of spirits of people that are essentially just traumatized human beings themselves that don't want to do the work, but we're going to do the work and get to a better space.
So you mentioned that you was a stay-at-home mother.
hmm
Was it during this time you realized, man, I'm in a abuse relationship as far as not being able to be myself? Was it during that time when you had your first experience, or was it before that?
My first experience was basically from inception with narcissism. I found that my mother was like had MPD. But as far as the question of within my marriage, actually, that my I always say when I speak on my marriage, everything was dead until it wasn't. I thought I found my superhero, my knight in shining armor. And it wasn't until the last quarter of our relationship, everything crumbled around me. And I met this person that I did not know within my relationship. And then after I got out of it, looking back, that's when I saw just how jacked it was.
So what it sounds like and what I'm hearing
Mhm,
is you was looking for someone to pretty much save the day. And you're like,
mhm.
"Oh, I found this person. This is my" I don't wanna say like a Disney fairy tale, like a princess is
Yeah,
getting saved.
Christian,
Yeah, this
yeah,
is
it
my Prince
really was
Charming.
like that.
And it's very challenging, like with any relationship. In the beginning, this person seem amazing. They're like, "Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, they can't do wrong." And then after time, you see their true.
Yeah, he sees me, he gets me.
Mhm.
That's what it was, and this is coming from someone I was like and still am, but I had a green to me that was a hopeless romantic. I was super young, and again, coming from my upbringing, we had a suburban life, but behind closed doors, it wasn't loving that matched the abundance of outside, did not match the abundance inside. I would put it like that, and through the what I had to deal with growing up when I because I left home at 17 and I was basically on my own. And through the things that I went through in that adolescent darkness, I'm like, I just want somebody that understands that I just want to love. and that I just want and I'm not gonna be like my mom. I'm gonna have a family that's gonna stay together, and I wanna be happy and things like that. So that's what I was yearning for. And my ex-husband came along and seemingly saw me and I latched onto that. And even then, that was unhealthy because, again, I did not know myself. All I knew was that I don't want to be anything like my mother. And so I'm going to build this life that she didn't give me. And I'm going to run off into the sunset with a man that finally understands me. Fast forward, now I see things from a different state. We can get into that, but
No, like, it makes
because it segues with so many tunnels, but
yes.
we can get into the conversation of predatory
Uh,
things like that. My ex-husband, he was 10 years older than me. We met when I was 20. So 20 and 30 is a different
2
age
different
gap.
mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 different mindsets. And so now I'm 30 and I'm looking back, I would never talk to no 20-year-old. We're not even in the
We're not even the same league, same
we're
books or
not
anything,
no,
yeah.
no, no. So I'm just like, he wanted someone too. What he was looking for was somebody to validate his existence as a man for whatever reason. He felt like he was a failure. He had his own traumas that he just did not want to speak on, which is why also I think it's healthy for men to do the inner work because then that expresses and it's just a constant cycle of these toxic relationships, these toxic attachments when we're not really taking the time to sit back and be alone for a little while and find ourselves.
You know what? There's so much right there I just wanna unpack. I ain't gonna lie
Yeah,
to you.
that's what I'm saying.
Not even gonna lie.
That's what
It's
I'm saying.
it's one of those things when you're young and
Mhm.
you look at your parents' life and you're like, "Man, I don't want that. I
Mhm,
want this. I'm tired of the moving around. I'm tired of not being stable. So therefore, I'm
mhm,
gonna create this life of mine, this dream fantasy that we see on TV." And when you find somebody that gets you, sometimes you ignore the red flags. Man, this dude's
mhm,
like 10 years older than me. Why are we even in this conversation? Like I'm still a baby trying to figure out who I am, let alone dealing with someone who is older. And in that space, from you leaving at 17 to let's say 20, there's so much that you're trying to figure out for you, let alone who am I? Do I love myself? It's just like, no, I just want somebody to love me and bring me up. And when you do that and you look on the outside, you're like, man, I'm not doing the hard work on the inside. I have to acknowledge my trauma. I have to understand who I am and who I want to become. So it's and obviously hindsight is 2020. When you're so young, you're not thinking in that mindset because yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to like mental health or talking about trauma, we don't talk about that like that, especially not at that age. And it's something that with social media you saw,
mhm,
but you didn't really pay attention to it unless, it's someone that you idolize or you look up to. Oh, all right, cool. Like Beyonce talking about this. So I may acknowledge what you're talking about. But even then, it may not register in the way that would really help you in a sense. You're like, oh, she
mhm,
went through that. She's strong or whatever. So
mhm,
for you in them 3 years trying to figure out who you are, and then Prince Charming comes, and then you're like, okay, not only I found love, this person is willing to put me on the pedestal where I belong, but Prince Charming got so many traumas that he's not willing to talk about that he may take out on you. One day you may wake up and say, "Hey, good morning, beautiful. Good morning, handsome," and he may just run. It's, I just said good morning. If you
right.
like,
Where is this
just take
coming from?
like where's the here? You know what I mean? Hey. So it's just one of those things where, and he's probably scared to say. I'm not
Mhm,
gonna lie, being a male, when we talk about our feelings, you get dubbed weak or you get
mhm,
dubbed like
mhm.
Drake or something like that. Oh, you're too emotional. I want a real man. And I am a
Yeah.
real man. I do have feelings and emotions that I
Mhm,
do need to acknowledge. So in that marriage,
mhm.
my question for you is when did that aha moment of this ain't it? This man got way too much baggage and my baggage, and we're just in a universe of chaos.
When somebody I heard this quote, "Do not introduce me to a vibe that you cannot maintain." The overall, that's what it was, and it started getting to him. I think because he led with, "I'm a nice guy, I'm a good guy, I'll love you through anything." When he met me, I was pregnant. So I was pregnant at 20 with my first child, my daughter, and we were already dating. And then we had that discussion, and we had a little fork in the road. Either I completely understood, I was mentally aware enough to understand that not every man wants to take on that type of responsibility. So we had that conversation, and we were already emotionally attached. I feel like that's what that was. And I remember we had this meetup and we had the discussion. It was at the park. And I was ready for him to say something I could do. I was ready for him to break up with me. And he decided that I'm going to stick around and we're going to do this thing. So for me, that I put him like upper echelon. Wow, this is a man that has s- some type of integrity and morality that it just is awesome. This is a golden goose of a man that would do something I never thought nobody would take me while still pregnant, early in my pregnancy or whatever. So from then, we started dating. We got our first apartment together. He was there for the birth of my daughter, like that whole thing. So I'm just in love more and more. And yeah, I met his mother like when I was about to give birth. I don't think he told her I was pregnant because when I met her, she looked like, I
Hold
mean,
up. Yeah. Hold up. You
so
got
like,
somebody pregnant, you didn't tell me. Yeah, yeah.
so like, no. And then I think she would probably think that it would have been better for him to say yes versus no, that's not my kid. That's just the seed to get you to where fast forward to where the dysfunction came in. Fast forward, we had our son, got married. Even while there was a push and pull leading up to marriage, and we got married. Like we told them on the flight or our flight back that we got married, something like that, or on our way to get married. And I remember his mother was said something like, "I knew you always wanted to be a Kirkendall." That's his last name, and it took me aback because I'm always reading into people into like why they say the things that they say. But overall, they had an emotionally sexual relationship, and he put his mother and basically his mother, not really his sister, but his sister had a hand in the demise of our relationship too. But he put his mother as his wife. I think he looked at his mother as his wife, and I told him that a lot. And there was a situation, the big situation that led to our divorce was he started to sneak and drink. And on our son's fourth birthday, he was sneaking and drinking. He had a situation with his friend, and I'm always an advocate of fixing your things with your friendship if it's worth saving, of course. But there was a thing with his friend, and he's a good guy, and he was finding himself spiritually, and he was just going off while we were in the car heading to our kid's birthday. And I'm like, one, if you don't like your friend and that he's being annoying with all these spiritual things, and then tell him that you don't want to talk about it or you just don't have that conversation. Fast forward, me defending his friend set him with a spiral. We got into the establishment. That was a toxic energy in there. And I told his sister, I'm like, okay, I obviously can see that your brother is drunk. I don't want him to ruin our son's fourth birthday. So it wound up being ruined. He basically physically assaulted me in front of people at a have you ever been I think it's called have you been to Urban Air?
Urban Air? Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was at an Urban Air. So,
Everybody's there.
everybody's there. He's acting an ass on the little go-kart area, and the cops had to be called and all this, and that's the first time he ever he pushed me on the ground and stuff, and he was trying to fight with me while I was holding one of our kids. And I just think it's a lot of stuff that was built up. and him trying to portray being something that he wasn't, because then we started talking about finances. And then I was trying to think of different ways that I can get from being a stay-at-home mom to making some money, bringing some revenue in and stuff. And that was when I had my catering business, trying to get some clientele. And now, after the divorce, fast forward, it was never about money. But again, with narcissism, they'll make a whole problem and then act like nothing, like we didn't have these discussions. So to him, they move the goalposts a lot. So yeah, that was the first time he was ever physical, and that the same day I filed for divorce.
Wow. Sorry that you had to experience that,
Mm,
but I'm glad that you had the courage to say, "This is it."
yeah,
You know what I
no,
mean?
we're not gonna do that because we
Yeah.
have kids. No,
Yeah, and it's
if you
very
let it go one time, it's just gonna get worse.
yeah, and when you have kids, you
Mhm,
they may not know, but kids pick up on energy, body
mhm,
language. They
mhm,
do know. They may not be able to articulate, "Hey, what's going on?" But they do pay
mhm,
attention and they understand, "Hey, this is what I'm going through. This is not what I'm going through, but this is what's going on with mommy and daddy," type of
mhm.
thing. So, kudos to you to leaving that relationship, and then now that you're divorced and you have these kids and you're probably trying to figure out what's next.
I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about that. Please talk about the okay, you filed for divorce. I don't know if you went to your family to figure things out to recoup or how was that?
I was able to stay at our where we were living, and he had to move out. I think he wound up, because he was an over the road truck driver, so he was barely home anyways. I guess he would live in his truck, and when he would come home, he would stay by a family member or whatever the case may be. But I was able to keep our housing until the lease was up, so I had a little bit of time to try to figure out what I was going to do. In that time, I was still finding myself. And let me backtrack. What I feel skyrocketed our dispersal was when I myself went on my spiritual journey, because that's when it started getting, I was irritating him. And basically, people love you where they meet you at. And I think that's what it was. There was no way around it, because I started off my spiritual journey going back to my roots. I wanted to watch hella sermons. I was inhaling TD Jakes. And I got a Bible. I was trying to understand scripture. I thought that was the route that I need to be on. And because I'm in a family with you and I'm building a family with you, and I want, the overall goal is that I want positive and peaceful energy in the house. I'm sharing the things that I'm learning with you. And when I would share sermons, I used to share them a lot. Like I was sending from YouTube and, oh, this is a good sermon for you. Being inspired, we would start getting into arguments that I would be sending sermons and things like that. And I was confused because I'm trying to progress our marriage and our family into a more whole unit, a unit that has direction, a unit that has clarity, a unit that has peace. And I'm being met with uh, aggression and aggravation, and you're not even fun anymore. That's basically the synopsis of what he was telling me. I didn't feel right. If he would be talking about people, I'm like, what's the point of talk? I didn't feel right with my spirit. So I mean, like, I don't like, I wouldn't even be like beating him up about talking about people. It's just I would disengage and not talking about people, and that still irritated him. So it's things like that that were building up. And I think that's what led to him basically being upset that I'm no longer the person that was okay with certain behaviors that he was naturally. And so I was relaying to him in his mind, you're a bad person. You're like, I was a mirror to him that he did not want to see. He did not want to face. That's what he was good at, running away from himself, like retrospectively. And so I think that was, it wasn't that he couldn't provide for his family or make any money. I think it was a mirror that he's been running away from himself, and he thought he can escape himself within me. So we both had dysfunctional attachment styles, and they came together, and things were good when it was good. But once one awakened to the things that weren't healthy, me, and I'm trying to awaken him, he wanted to stay asleep. And I think that's overall what it was.
Yeah, when it comes to growing, and it can be scary when you see someone that you love and you care about, and they start acting different, and it's, "Oh,
Mhm.
hey, you acting funny. Wait, hold on.
You
Send
think
me
you
all these
better than
scriptures.
me?
Yeah, wait, hold on. You send me these scriptures. Well, you used to send me these songs and get me in the mood. Now you're sending me something that I don't want to hear." And
Mm,
one of the biggest things, and I've learned this just from life, and I'm just going to use the example of when you get hired as a at a job, and they say you get hired as the janitor. People just view you as the janitor. They don't ever think that the janitor has the ability to move up to become a CEO. They just think you that janitor. So wherever you meet someone at in life, you're like, they're just that person,
mhm,
right? I'm pretty sure behind the scenes, your family, your friends that see you now doing interviews, writing journals, writing and becoming an author, they're probably like, yo, who is that? Nah, that's Kim from around the way.
mhm,
I ain't her. Nah, she's still the and they don't understand as people, we evolve. Yes, that was me in my past life, right? That was me at that moment. Doesn't mean that I was gonna stay there. I wanna grow and become the person that I always envisioned. Just because you don't have that envision for me doesn't mean that I'm
yeah,
always gonna be that janitor, just to use it
mhm, mhm.
as an
It
analogy.
wasn't for you.
Yeah, it wasn't for you.
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
get that a lot, even for myself. People know me, or I'm not like a celebrity, but all my friends know me for cracking jokes and doing all of this and always talk about sports and all that. And then when they started seeing me doing mental health and then actually being open about my suicidal attempts, and they just like, yo, who are you? You know what I
mhm,
mean?
mhm,
And it's
mhm,
just, yo, yes, I still love sports. I still talk about music. I still sit down and watch movies, but there's another side of me that
mhm,
I want to express with the world and say, hey, it's okay if you don't feel okay. I
mhm,
actually got resources. I got ways to help you out because, and my belief is no one should die by suicide. And then they're just like, oh, you've changed. You're different. You
mhm,
now hanging out with therapists and all that. I'm like,
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
like, bro,
And
I
to
don't
them,
drink.
you're perpetrating.
Yeah. Just, yo, what's up? You don't drink anymore. You don't do this. I'm just like, nah,
Mhm,
I'm off of that.
mhm, mhm.
You know, the reason I was drinking because that was my trauma response.
Yeah,
Yo, let me
yeah.
pour up and drink something.
Self-medicating.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Mhm,
And for myself, it's just like one of them things that was just like, I've learned other ways to naturally cope, right? I
mhm,
enjoy writing. I enjoy using my phone as a voice note and just getting out my thoughts. I enjoy walking around. I enjoy
mhm,
connecting with people that get it, right?
mhm,
That's not gonna be like, yo, bro, hey, try this, roll this up. I'm like, yeah, when
mhm,
you find your community that gets you, you don't even have to apologize when you say no. They just get it. So I'm
mhm,
glad that you talked about that. As we segue into, okay, I'm home, trying to figure
mhm.
it out. You started doing the baking thing. At some point, I'm gonna have to test out the food, but that's for another podcast. You started doing the baking thing, and was that just something that was like passion, or was it just something that like, man, I have to try to figure out how to raise.
It was a natural, yeah, it was a natural talent that I felt like, yes, I had to make it a career because now I'm getting pressure out of nowhere, which I think that, to circle back to what I was talking to, he started having bugs in his ear that were basically navigating through him and manipulating him to disrupt the family that he was building. So yeah, I started baking and I got one big deal out of it where I was able to bake a three-tier cake for Jeannie Mai. So that was cool. And then I guess for him, he got the accolades and okay, and the reassurance maybe in the background from his family. Oh, you don't maybe you do have a good woman or a wife that is going now that she's going to be a celebrity cake baker or whatever the case may be. It is you, if you built on a transactional and in a socialist type of family, it's never going to end well because you always have to be performative and nobody's authentic. So I don't know. They were. I'm still healing through that.
It's very challenging. Like whether you're in a relationship or you married, if the family's involved or they have their 2 cents, it it's going to disturb that relationship. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Because it's
mhm,
always gonna they're putting doubt, fear in
mhm,
that person's head. I
Yeah,
said,
and
"Wait,
he second guessed himself as a
yeah,
man.
did I pick the right woman? Right? Is this the relationship for me? She says this, but she's doing this." And
Mhm,
it's one of the things that I don't wanna sound like an asshole, but you have to be an asshole. When it comes to
mhm,
your relationship, you have to protect it.
mhm,
Not everybody needs to know what's going on.
mhm,
Not everybody needs to know everything. It's like I look at it as we're building an empire, a legacy,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
If you and I are not on the same page, I don't have to sit there and tell my mom. I don't have to sit there
mhm,
and tell my friends or anything.
mhm,
We're just not on the same page. Hey,
mhm,
let's have a conversation. It might be an awkward conversation, but guess what? It's a much needed conversation.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And then we could
mhm,
build on that. And if it's
mhm,
finance, then okay, cool. I may not be the best at it. Teach me.
mhm, mhm,
But you have to understand if you're teaching me, I do have an ego. You know what I mean? Don't
mhm,
talk to me as a five, but just talk, be gentle. So it's like having those dialogues and those conversations is key
mhm,
into
mhm,
relationship. That's why they say
mhm,
communication is the best. And
mhm,
even for myself, as I peel back, I'm not the best communicator, right?
mhm,
And there's sometimes where I may have to send a note or something like that, write a note or send a voice note to my missus, to the hey, this is how I'm feeling.
yeah,
And it
mhm,
takes me a moment to process because it's man,
mhm,
I don't want to seem like I'm attacking her. I don't want to seem like I'm coming off as I'm coming for your neck or anything. It's just, hey,
mhm,
this is how I've been feeling. And being okay with that. Because if I can't be
mhm.
vulnerable with her, then I can't be vulnerable with me. So it's
And dealing with those things internally is what creates intimacy in your relationship.
trying to tell you.
Why is there 4 people in our relationship? You
Because
know?
most people want the validation, as you said, the cosign.
Mhm. Mhm. But I think that is alluding to you being less than courageous as a man to this is your time to shine in your masculine energy. You know what? I'm going to take the reins of this. I'm going to get a better grip on the success for my of my family. And if I am looking for outside resources, let it be from professionals, not people who aren't married themselves. That doesn't make any
Are
sense.
gonna be biased. What's
If you
wrong?
and I feel like, okay, and another thing is if you know that person has a certain feeling of that other person, then you already know that you're trying to get an answer that is against your family,
Yeah.
the family that you're building.
Yeah, and that's why I'm always one that what happens in my relationship, I try to keep between my
Mhm.
relationship. And sometimes I have to like and this helps me out a lot. When I do the voice notes, I'm gonna use this story that I used plenty of times. It was a moment where me and the missus was arguing over the toilet seat. I left it up, whatever, and it was a big
Mhm.
argument, right? And
Mhm.
it wasn't even just the toilet seat, like, I was upset about it, I was just being petty. And when I
Mhm.
started doing the voice note and talking to myself,
Mhm.
journaling it and, like, really hearing the tone and the anger in my voice, man, is this really about the toilet seat?
Mhm.
And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, let me peel it back. Oh, I'm mad about something she said months ago. I'm
It's
just being
always
petty."
something
Yeah, it's
deeper.
always something
Yeah.
there's always something petty. So it's let me stop being petty about a toilet seat and actually address the real problem.
Mhm.
"Hey, you came at me this way, I didn't like it, so therefore I'm just being petty and putting up the toilet seat."
Mhm.
But if I go up to someone and tell them that, who's gonna give me a non-biased opinion, they gonna be like, "Yeah, you tripping. You need to really
Mhm.
have a conversation about that." And then
Mhm.
sometimes we talk with some of my friends and they like, "Oh, yeah, nah, leave the toilet seat up, man. She can put it down." And it's I don't need that advice. Like, "Yo, Herbie, you being petty.
Mhm.
Put the seat down and actually talk to your woman to see what's
Mhm.
up." Uh,
Progressive.
yeah, so it's just like that. That's the type of thing that we need and the type of people that you need. And yeah, you
Mhm.
love your friends, you love your family, but sometimes just because they love you, they're gonna be biased on
Mhm.
however you feel or
And
whatever.
sometimes to your detriment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I will hey, you being an asshole.
Mhm.
Stop. You right. You know what I mean? Like, you right. And to have
Mhm.
that conversation. So now that you're doing cakes for celebrities, when did it hit you to say, you know what? This is yes, this is paying the bills,
Mhm.
but there's more to me that I need to address. And not only that I need to address for me, but I want to help others so they don't have that internal balance or that internal fight.
Mhm. Like I said, I healed from me came after my divorce. During all that time, I was just still trying to find myself, still trying to keep my family together, uh, still trying to hold out to faith that my husband will come around and he'll see the light and walk to Jesus. That's where I was with that. The breaking point was that situation at our son's birthday party. And there's something that I prayed about. And I remember one time I fasted, right hand to the head. I fasted and I was praying for my husband and I heard a voice and said, "That's not your husband." And I knew right then and I was still ignoring it. So I was like, that was scary because I'm used to being at home with the kids. I'm used to this type of lifestyle. What am I gonna do if I actually just leave that man? And I got nothing saved up. What am I gonna do? And that's when you have to step out on faith. But fast forward after the divorce, I got a windfall of abundance, and that was able to sustain me to where I was able to move in my first apartment by myself with my kids on my own. And from there, I've elevated where we have lived on my own. I'm sustaining on my own. And to him, I felt because he said he wanted a divorce one time, but I feel like in my heart, that was like a control thing when he said it. But I didn't announce anything when that situation happened. I filed the papers. And I don't think he thought I was gonna go through with it. And moreover, I don't think he thought that I was gonna be able to survive on my own. And so to see that your blessings don't stop once you let go of something just because you no longer that was your last chapter in my life in that capacity, doesn't mean that I'm gonna fall on my ass. And I've told him that too. I've expressed my inner truths with him, whether he's receptive of it, I feel like if you know what in your deep dark corner by yourself, if you know what I'm saying is valid, then me and you both know that's what it is. But to this day, I feel like he would have been happier if we got divorced and I would have been on the street versus it angers him now that it gets to him and it's bothersome to him that I'm thriving. He's always just so perplexed as to how I can stay where I'm at. I'm continually elevating.
Yeah, I notice when it comes to people who like to be in control of things and they see someone shining or thriving without them, it's it's anger in them. They get angry inside in the sense of they probably deep down inside know that you have this potential. And for them, it's probably, damn, I was the person that validated. I was the person that did everything for them. Now that they doing this, they didn't need me. Now what am I good for? You're doing some internal thing with yourself. Like, damn, who needs me? I need to find someone who needs me so I
Again,
can
and now we're
control the
back in
situation.
square one,
Yeah.
right?
And it's harder. The older you get, it's harder. Because let's say you 40. Yeah, you could like go get a 20-year-old. Well, that 20-year-old's like, yo, you my dad, bro. This hard with me, right?
Right?
You know what I mean?
Or you already know what it is. I'm
You
not,
already know what
you
it is,
know.
right? Hey, if we gonna date, I'm gonna need a Birkin after
Yeah.
this. And and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's one of those things is
So they'll feel like emasculated when it comes
it's
to that.
easier to find someone that you can control the situation with than instead of saying, "Damn, what is it about me that people are leaving me? How can I be a better person?" That's the hardest thing. I'm not gonna lie, like looking in the mirror and you have that true, honest conversation. Who am I? And then you peel back the layer and it's, oh, I'm this man. I got this successful job. And it's okay. Who are you without the job? Who are you without the money? Oh, I'm this and this. And then we put these labels on us depending on material things. And it's okay. If you're a father, then what type of father do you want to be? Do you want to be a role model to your kids, showing them, hey, what not to do, what not to, how to be, or whether it's a boy or daughter, whatever child that you have, you want to show them, hey, look, this is the blueprint for me. This how my life went, but I want you to pass. When I pass that baton, I want you to surpass me. Do things that I've never done. Embrace that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then, yes, if you have a good job, you have a good job. Like I know right now, these times are crazy, especially around
Mhm.
this season. Like no one wants to get terminated around December, January, and it's damn, what did I do? So it's like realizing that whatever job that you have, or whether you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, that doesn't define you as a person. That's something that you do. Now, what defines you as a person, that's the inner work that you have to really dude, you have to invest. And it's not pretty. I'm not gonna lie to you, Cam. It for me, no, my story, I big racked myself because I was too suicidal. And when I got home, I was like, who am I? And I had to peel back so many layers. And now when I share my story, it seems like, all right, cool. This guy did this all in 2 weeks, but it's not. I'll be honest with you,
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
years, right?
Yes.
And still years of addressing other issues. And for me, like looking in the mirror, I just started crying. Damn, this is the first time I'm not like washing my face and just brushing my teeth just for the mirror. Like I'm having a conversation with myself. And I'm asking myself these questions. Who am I? Okay, right
That you're
now.
finally present.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm acknowledging the things that I've been through. But
Mhm,
the things that I've been through does not define who I am. The healing process is going to define who I am. And
mhm,
is it going to be pretty? Hell no, it's not. But I embrace that, right? I embrace the shootouts that I've been in. I embrace the upbringing of being in the South Bronx. I
mhm,
embrace all of that, right? That's part of stuff that I have to take with me and accept. But if it wasn't for that gritty situation and situations of learning how to be self-aware and
mhm,
being present,
mhm,
then how can I evolve as a person? Now, okay,
mhm,
cool. You was suicidal. Okay, why? Because you
mhm.
didn't receive love from your parents. Okay, all right. Now let's address this.
Rooted.
Now I didn't receive love from my parents. How do I expect to date someone and show me how love is? Right? Hey, can you teach me how to love myself? No, that's a you problem that you have to figure out
It's called self-love.
for a reason.
It's
It
the
is.
word.
And
That's
it's like,
so true.
and
But you know what, Herb?
that
Not everybody wants to open that door to an empty room. People are scared of that door.
you said
And
to
how
empty room.
Yeah, meaning
I
when you
don't.
strip yourself, like you're saying, I'm just touching on what you had said of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
job is not your personality. The things around you is not your whole entire personality. When you're running away from yourself, you're running away from that door that you don't know anything about. So it's in essence, it's an empty room. You have to put the furniture in there. You have to put the lighting, your little flavor. And if you've been running away and saying, "Oh, I'm a lawyer. That's what I do. Just that's just who I am." Oh, what do you like to do? I like to lobby and talk about lawyer things. Like
Yeah.
outside
See,
of that.
I don't look at it as an empty room. I
Okay.
look at it like a foundation when you're building a house. When it comes to when you see someone building a house, the most important thing of that house is the foundation. People never acknowledge the foundation. They just look at the outside of the house and be like, "Oh man, that's a beautiful house." But how can it be a beautiful house if the foundation is weak? So if my mindset
Mhm.
was like, "Damn, my foundation is weak."
Mhm.
Now I'm tearing down everything that I didn't know
Mhm.
and I learned, and now we're gonna make it better. Okay, how can I build a better foundation? Let me start loving myself. Okay, cool. As I build the foundation, okay, what does love look like for me? How do I like to receive love? Gift, positive affirmations, and so on. So it's like acknowledging that and then understanding that no is a complete sentence. Hey, yo, Herb, we going out. You want to come? Nah. Why? Yo, such and such is gonna be there. Okay. I'm gonna be in the crib. Click. And
Right.
really acknowledging that.
Mhm.
And then it's okay, now that's one part of my house
Mhm.
is having the confidence to love myself, having the confidence to say no. Now it's like, how do I want to appear to the world? Man, I
Mhm.
love wearing wraps, I love wearing dashikis, but corporate America, this and that, and just having the power to say, F it. Imma be
Mhm.
me. If you rock
Mhm.
with it, you rock with it. You don't,
Mhm.
I'm not for you, but guess what? I don't care because I love myself. I love how I dress. I love how I appear. And that's another one, right? And then bringing it all together and just like, man, now I love myself. Now I'm willing to be in a relationship where I can have that non-judgmental love.
Mhm. To stand in your fullness of self. That's something you cannot perpetrate, you can't fake, and your walk is different and your talk is clear. The way you navigate relationships is just refreshing, and that's what you were telling we were talking, I think it was off camera earlier.
Yeah.
It's just so refreshing to meet your people, find your tribe who are actually walking in their authentic selves, and so you have so much clarity that you be able to from jump, be able to see what isn't walking in their truth, who isn't walking in their truth, who is still operating from behind the mask, who is still people pleasing and who is still having that herd mentality. And yeah, just to go with you said, rock the dashikis, rock the wraps. I like to be bald headed. One day I'm gonna slap a wig on. That's what I want to do. And it's just when you navigate with yourself, you have a sense of self, and you can go into these relationships in a better, healthy standing. And not saying that there will not be adversity, but that you have a better chance of overcoming those things, especially if you're rocking with somebody that rock with themselves too. Self-love is so crucial, and that's one thing that I learned.
But you know what? I'm not gonna lie. So where are you originally from?
Houston, Texas.
Okay, would have never guessed.
Mhm. Mm,
But was that something in your community that they talked about, like self-love?
mm-mm. Everything and I it's sad to say it's so typical because I hear it in a multitude of relationship podcasts. All of our upbringings seem to be congruent as we had the aunties and the aunts and the grandmothers that were pick It was a pick a hyper independent versions of pick I'm gonna show this man I can do it all on my own. Still to this day, I just had a conversation, which the undertone was pay for his stuff, so it's a power move, so he can feel your dominance. And girl, no.
Your face your face says it all. Just annoyed. You I'm not gonna lie to you, when it came in the Bronx, we didn't really talk about self-love. Even the guys didn't really talk
Mm-mm,
about self-love. It's, "Yo,
mm-mm,
you gotta look a certain way, dress a certain way to get her
mhm.
attention."
Yeah, it's girl,
And
for
it
you. Get cute
and
for
it's just
you.
and it's like, do you want that? At some point, right? I was never one that was, like, always into Jordans or anything like that, right?
Mhm.
And you already know high school is one of them. If you wanna know the truth, just go to high school. It's just people gonna tell you. And one of my buddies was like, "Yo, Herbie, why don't you rock Jordans?" I was just like, That's just not my thing." I'm like, "Everybody wears Jordans. I'm not everybody." So I was like, "That's the thing." And my buddy was like he didn't get it, but I was like, "I know, like, I don't wanna dress like everybody. I don't."
Mhm.
And I for a while, would you see? I didn't
Yeah.
pretty much dress like this a lot besides the
Mhm.
raps. It was always like
Mhm.
Caesar and a Knicks hat. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. But it was just like always I was always like
Mhm.
gravitated to the African print some way,
Mhm.
somehow, or I have something African. I was just always it
Mhm.
was always me. But anyway,
Mhm.
when I realized now I'm really gonna sound like an asshole. When I
Mm.
realized when you dress for others or you do things for others, all it does is just trying to say this in a very like censored way.
No,
I
be
don't
be be frank, be frank.
but when you I know, right? Oh, man, I know my DMs are gonna be flooded, like, "Yo, bro, who pissed you off?" But when you, like, do things for others and you don't do it for yourself, right? Whether it's your parents, and all it does is just, like, you are putting the true authentic self
Mhm.
yourself in a closet, and you're just, like,
Mhm.
burying it, and then that gets so dangerous because once you bury it for a certain amount of years, you really lose yourself.
Mhm. You're a deserter.
Yeah, you're just like, "Oh, who am I? I'm
Mhm.
this, I'm that, I'm this. Oh, I love this." And then you not getting the validation or the cosign from someone, right? "Oh, hey, yo, I just bought this product, yada, yada, yada." And somebody be like, "Alright, it's alright." You gonna feel the type of way, like, "Yo, wait, hold on, man. I just spent like $1,000 for this outfit. What you mean it's trash?"
You're
I mean,
not happy for me?
yeah, right? Yo,
Love me, accept
like,
me.
accept me. But then when you show up as you, right? Whether you just, "Yo, I'm just rocking some flip-flops, sweatpants, and a white tee." "Hey, what's up?" It's when you realize people love you for who you are and not what you wear or what you buy,
Mhm.
it is a different type of energy that I
Mhm.
cannot explain to you. When you see
Mhm.
genuine people who loved you, they rock with you just
Because it's
because
not a
it's
commercial
you.
line.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not a
Mhm.
commercial. It's not like, "Oh, yo, Herbie got the latest Jordans. Okay, cool. He got this Gucci wrap that he's rocking. Let's go." It's not.
Mhm.
Herbie's this person that like, "Yo, I called him 3 in the morning. I was stranded. He came, picked me up. That's my dude." Didn't matter. Didn't
Mhm.
judge me. He created a safe space for me. Told him I was doing X, Y, and Z. He didn't look at me funny. He just, "Oh, alright, I'll be there to pick you up." You know what I mean? Alright, like, it's but
Mhm.
once you realize people love you for who you are, not what you are, or what you
Mhm.
wear,
Mhm.
different type of vibe.
Mhm. Everybody looking like walking ads, looking like straight off TikTok shop.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you, TikTok is like the new Amazon. It's like, yo, I just try to learn and just,
It
oh,
has it works, but Jesus, the herd
no.
mentality also goes so quickly, and
Yeah.
everybody start looking like everybody. And to speak on what you expressed about you've always been your own person. I was conditioned to try to fit in the mold. I used to loathe being the black sheep. It wasn't until my adulthood that I actually embraced it. And that hit me when if everybody wearing this, Cam ain't wearing this. That's like repellent. If everybody's look, if everybody said we're wearing green today, Cam showing up in pink. Okay.
Oh,
No.
trust me, there was a moments where I was wearing jerseys and all that because like I do love
Hmm.
sports. But then
Yeah.
after a while, I was just like, yo, man, like damn, everybody's rocking jerseys. Everybody's rocking this,
Yeah.
everybody's rocking that. So it's just like, yo, I just want
Mhm,
to be me. And even to this
mhm,
day, I
mm,
which is what you get.
mhm,
Even to this day. So let's talk about the guide. Let's talk
mhm,
about I Heal for Me. Let's talk about it.
mhm.
When did you have the courage to say, you know what, this helped me out so much, I'm gonna actually write this for others?
When did I have the courage? It took me a year to put this all together and actually manifest this into something physical. I felt like so empowered because at that time I was taking myself on self-love trips. I was really getting into it and actually dating myself, something that I never did ever. And like I said, I pretty much rushed into the whole white picket fence American dream. My childhood was a blur. It's just everything's running, running, and then you finally have a pause. That moment, and you actually can take a solid, peaceful breath. Yes, that's where I was at. And so I felt like I was healthy enough to even put something out that would have a healthy energy that would be relayed in an effective way versus riding in the midst of the hurt space. And so I did have to take some time to actually because I'm big on energy and anybody can put out there, there's an air of something in it. And so that's where I was navigating from and learning spirituality too. It gave me a hand in being intentional on producing something like this.
Man, I have so many.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about the guy before we because I'm about to get sidetracked.
Oh man, we go on
Be-
tangents over here.
Yes. So now that you wrote the guide,
Mhm,
now that it's out, and
mhm.
if you're listening to this, you better check the description because the link is here. When it Now that you did that, how do you feel assisting others? Does it freak you out a little bit, or is it something that's, man, this is my purpose? Like, I'm glad I did this.
If yes, I felt like the feeling that I get from pushing this out, birthing this out is like I was underwater and someone finally brought me an oxygen tank because I finally felt like I have some sense of direction. This is something that I could stand on. This is something that I actually talk about because I learned that I thrive best in these type of settings to where we can be expressive of what's really going on in our lives, our mental spaces. And that's where I thrive best in. And so when I made this, I was like, the fact that I can say I tested it on myself and I came out feeling the way that I do, and it shows up in friendships that can attest for that, in family relationships that can attest for that, in personal, the way that I date, it can attest to that. There's an air of confidence, there's an air of clarity that cannot be manipulated or rocking. You can't knock me off my rock. I feel like I have confidence that this will help somebody because it helped me, I helped myself. And so now I'm reaching back, and because I'm reaching back and I know that it's gonna help at least one person, that I've added some type of value, and that goes back into feeling a sense of self-worth, that I did this for me, hence why I named it I Heal for Me, and I can help people, and now I feel like I have something to do in my life. This is what I've been set here for. At least this is the first stepping stone to where I'm headed in the right direction. And there's a lot of things I'm going to birth after this, but this is what I needed to bring forth into reality right now that will pivot me or skyrocket me to my next season of fellowshipping and community and togetherness, and to undo a little part of this brokenness that we have in our community.
Love it. For
Mhm.
the listeners that is intrigued by this, tell them what to really expect as far as the work, I guess.
Mhm. There's a lot of inner work. Now, I designed this to where you can work by yourself, but it is at its best worked in tandem with traditional therapy. So you're going to have a lot of talking points to where you may be sitting alone one day and deciding that you want to journal. You have a specific question of the day that hits your soul that you want to talk about with your therapist, and your therapist will then be able to help you and aid you to dig deeper into that and to navigate you to your next chapter in your healing. There's a lot of questions that I consider overall this guided journal being a spiritual root canal. You're going to get to the root. They're very intentional questions. They are multifaceted questions that have various levels. Something as simple as "How are you?" can have several different meanings, and depending on the space you're in that given day, it may be just the question that you need. How am I really? It's things like that, but different varied questions. But overall, all the questions are very intentional. Are the questions are very thought provoking, and you have 6 months worth of questions. That's 6 months worth of therapy that you can expedite with your therapist, or if you want to, whichever, wherever you're at in life. And then there's a space at the back of the journal to where you can write all your unwritten letters to your narcissistic abusers, because a lot of us have trouble just going cold turkey during no contact. I created that space as a little weaning off your heroin, your addiction, and to write everything that you ever wanted to say to that person and leave it there. And at the end of this journal, do what you will, bury it, put it in the ocean, give a funeral for it, and you go on about your next chapter in your healing. And I hope this is a step that catapulted you to your space of betterment. That's my goal ultimately. It's not a one size fits all. There's only so much you can do in 6 months, but it'll give you, my goal is that it'll give you that confidence and that sense of clarity and direction that, okay, this is what sparked inside. I started with this journal. I started going to therapy, and I'm going to keep the ball rolling into other means to get me to the space I need to be in.
No, I love it. I love it. Please let the audience before we let the audience know where you are, where how to find you and whatnot. Is there something that you would like to leave them with?
Just come to me when you're ready. You have to be ready for your healing. You have to be ready to recover and really serious about putting yourself first for once. And I would feel like it would do a disservice to be zealous, or I don't know if I'm using the right word, inspired to do something, and then you don't take the action to see it through. It's narcissistic abuse recovery, not narcissistic abuse recovery. And I'm about to go back, and then I'm gonna go back and forth and back and forth. You have to be ready to be done. You have to ready to close that chapter and open up this chapter. There is symbolism in opening up a brand new book. It's a brand new smell. It's a brand new seal. The paper is fresh, and you have a brand new pen. So just let me know when you're ready to begin.
I love it. Now tell the audience
Mhm.
how they can find you and your book.
Okay, so I Heal For Me is available Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, and on our site, the Phoenix Notebook Company.squaresite.com, and you can order direct. Also, I am on TikTok Shop. My platform is primarily on TikTok. That is at the.pnco. That is our at. And look for content, upcoming lives. Get our followers up, subscribers up so that we can come to lives and have some good content. And I just see you at the Healing Hubs.
I love it. I love it. That being said, see you next time. Peace.
Bye. Bye.